Hello. I did a guest blog post for Filofax a short while ago. I'll put the website details, URLs, etc. at the bottom of this video. And this was about graphical daily planning systems for paper-based systems such as Filofax. And the idea of these systems is that normally paper-based systems, they have a block of text, so you write your appointments or what you did in a block of text or in a list, horizontally or vertically, and some people find that's less useful for them. They like to have an image that they can see, and immediately they can take in what they've done or what they have to do on the basis of that image. And some systems have been devised to make this graphical planning system work for people, and most of them have been devised on the basis of the clock face. Now, the clock face, of course, is familiar to us, but there's a simple problem in the fact that for one single 24-hour period we have to have two clock faces because we go around the clock twice, and therefore this is not the ideal system for some people. I have seen some inserts where a clock face is used. I think the X47 system uses something like this. But the problem with the clock face is it contains a certain amount of dead space. For example, here is where I'm sleeping, here is where I'm sleeping. I don't really need to see that. It just causes confusion. Also, when I get to 12 o'clock, I have the habit of just continuing around the clock instead of remembering I have to move on to the next clock face to continue with the afternoon. Now, the idea, as you can see from these graphical systems, is that you colour in or show what you are doing or where you need to be on the graphic, and you write down any notes you have around the graphic. And basically all the systems work this way. Now, because you have two clock faces here, it's not ideal, and people have tried to develop systems that work differently to these clock faces. One of the most famous systems is the Chronodex. Now, you can see here this is based on the idea that most people do most of their work and their play and whatever between 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the evening. So this is a 12-hour period, and this system goes from 9 AM to 9 PM. If you do something before 9 AM or do something after 9 PM, you have a little space here to put information before 9 AM and some information here to put it afterwards. Now, when you fill this system in, for me, it gives quite a pleasing effect. But many people have put off by the way it looks. It looks spiky. It looks unintuitive. You can't easily plan before 9 or after 9 in the evening. And it works for some people, but not for everybody. And as you can see with this system, what I've done is, if there's something where you need to be somewhere but it's not going to take all of your time, for example, if DHL are going to be delivering a package, you need to be somewhere in order to retrieve that package, but you don't have to be doing nothing in that period, you can be doing something else, then you fill in a section of the circle. If you need to block out the whole period because you're doing something that is going to take 100% of your attention, then you block out the whole time. So you have a difference between being with somebody, for example, when you can be doing something else as well, or having to be in a meeting, for example, when you have to be doing that and you can't be doing anything else. Now, because this system is a little bit unintuitive, some people have said, okay, we'll take the idea and we'll develop it further. This is the Spiralex system, which Kent from Oz designed. And the idea being that it gives a little bit more of a pleasing look and more intuitive look for people, so they can work out exactly what they're doing. It starts at 6, it goes on to 12 in the evening, and people have taken this system and made alterations to it, modified it. This is the basis of a lot of systems. For me personally, I do have a slight problem with it. The first thing is, it's moved a little bit further away from the clock face than what I actually like. This is still, it's not intuitive to me what part of is 12, what part is 3, and so on. Secondly, because it's a spiral, there's not a space around each one of these segments. So if I wanted to write a comment here about what I've done, I can't, because this segment is blocking the way. So you have to start working with lines, and the lines go across other segments, and that for me doesn't work. Also, the segments at the beginning of the spiral are obviously much smaller than the segments at the end. That's fine if it doesn't matter to you. For me, it makes no sense, because you can be doing just as much at 9 o'clock in the morning as you can be doing at 9 in the evening. And if you want a system that shows you how much work you have done, or how much you're doing, or how much time you have left, I think a system needs to take account of the fact that every hour should have an equal amount of space. So there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of systems. If you look online, there's a lot of systems. They're all basically based on this idea. Now, of course, I decided I would try my own system. I wanted to find a system which gave each block of time the same amount of space, allowed you to make notes around each part of the system without being blocked by another segment, and again took away those dead hours when I personally aren't active. And I wanted to move as well back a little bit more towards the clock face. And this is my system. Or this is how far I've got at the moment. Now, everybody else has used a dex at the end of their word, a spiral dex, chrono dex, pinger dex. And they're all dexes. I don't know why. Maybe somebody can leave a comment and tell me why everybody uses dex. Probably means something I don't know about. I decided to call mine a Zirkuluak. This is simply because I like the word. It's a Basque word that means circles, and I thought circles is what I've got here, so that's why I decided to call it the Zirkuluak. So what I've done is I've simply chopped away from the clock faces. I have 2 clock faces. I've chopped away those parts of the day that I'm not active, generally, although it is possible still to add information for those periods if you need to. I've gone back to the clock face, but made it so that it's easy to know that when you get to 12 o'clock in the morning, you need to move to the next clock face, because you can't continue anyway, because this is the afternoon, and the evening, this is the morning. Each segment has its own amount of space, the same amount of space, and you can write any note around any of these blocks without actually having to write arrows on another block, with the exception that there is a slight problem if you have something that moves from 11 to 1, for example, then it looks a bit awkward. By the way, I prefer 24-hour clocks, which is why it's numbered like that. And so if you do the same thing as we've done with the other ones, you can see here that you can simply colour in if you want to colour in what you're doing, what you need to be, block out if you need to be somewhere, and that's how the Zirkuluak system works. Now I've moved on to try and design some insert for the Filofax. The designs I've made up to now have been for the Filofax personal. I'm sorry about I can't fit them all in here on this camera angle. I tried a week on 2 pages, and this is the system I have. I have Monday to Thursday here without the dates in there, Friday to Sunday. Each day simply has a Zirkuluak graphic on it with a little space on the side, because I have to admit I prefer to write mine as a block as well as a graphic when I have appointments. So that was the design I tried for a week on 2 pages. Then I tried a day on 2 pages. A day on 1 page. This works better for me, I think. I have a Zirkuluak here at the top. I have the calendar at the bottom, because as I said, I prefer both graphics and a block of writing. And by the way, there should be a line here, it simply hasn't been printed. And what I have done here is I've actually straightened out this and put it down here as well, so I can colour it in here if I have something to do, or I can colour it in here. I'm not fixed to one thing. I have space up here that gives me things that happen all day, such as somebody's birthday. I have just a space down the bottom here for notes. I should say I don't manage tasks on paper. I manage them in the computer. This is why there's no space here for tasks. Then I tried a day on 2 pages. This has been expanded. Now what I wanted to do, because there's a problem with printing back to front. So I want to be able to print something on the other side, of course. But I know that if I try to do the Saturday on the other side, and then you print it out and the printer misses a page, for example, or skips a page, suddenly everything's out of sync. And if you're printing a whole calendar and it's out of sync, it's a hell of a waste if you have to start all over again several times to get the printing right. So what I want to have on the back side, on the left hand side here, is something that is not dated, so that it can be the same on every page. You can simply print at the back, and it doesn't matter if you miss a page. Now the first thing I tried was this one. It does have this calendar. I don't use this. I don't particularly know why I did this, but I know some people use it. Simply have a square for notes, something for tasks, nothing particular there. Then I tried simply with a larger Zirkuluak. So if you put these two together, you'd have the rings in the middle here. You'd have this on the one side, you'd have this on the other. And you can see I've turned it because I have a problem with Filofax in terms of where the rings are, and I'm right-handed. And I can't write here with the rings, it's annoying to me. So I could simply turn around my Filofax and do the notes here if I wanted to, and or I can simply use this system here. I can make notes here, that doesn't matter. Of course, if I'm left-handed, it's absolutely no problem to reverse the system and have that here, so that you can turn your Filofax that way and fill it in there. That's as far as I got up to now. I would be very interested. I have obviously before next year 2015 I have a lot of time to develop this so that it works for me, but I'm very interested if there are people who want to use this system and want to have a size or a design which they can use. So I would appreciate any comments you have, any input you have. If for example you said, well actually I want to be able to do 24 hours, or why not use it, put an extra ring in the Zirkuluak, or make it larger, or use colours, or whatever. Any input you have that makes it less my system and more a system that can be used for other people, I'd really appreciate it. So please do send me a message or leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. Thanks, and have fun.